Okay, so it's been 3 years in the Netherlands en ik kan nog steeds de taal niet spreken Nederlands. Or Netherlands. Anyways, a lot has happened in the last 3 years. And at the time I thought of making this video, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to share. I just knew I wanted to make a video, put a stamp, reflect, just share some updates. So maybe someone can learn from my story in the last 3 years. I don't know. I also did a 1 year in the Netherlands series and I shared a few things that I had learned or gotten used to. Hello. Pardon all this stuff I'm wearing on me, the scarf, the coat, the jacket, the clothes and everything. It's really cold in Amsterdam. I didn't end up finishing the series, so I'm sorry if you were following the series and then I stopped and didn't continue as promised. So relocating here was really nice at the beginning and it still is nice, but after some time I realized that I needed people, I needed a community, and so I went online to look for a church and I found a church, C3 Imagine, a really beautiful church. I got to make family and I got to make friends there. I also got to know a few people outside church. For example, Boluwatife, who reached out to me on Twitter when I came here newly, because when I came I made a post on Twitter that I relocated to the Netherlands. Then he reached out, we hung out a few times, realized our birthdays were even close together, and ever since then we've become very good friends. When I also came here, I made videos about my relocation process, finding the job, the visa and everything, and those videos are doing really good on my channel right now. I feel like if you are watching this video right now, you probably got to know me through any of my videos then. And if you haven't checked out the series yet, you can check it out. I share a lot of tips there. Some of it may be outdated, but maybe still helpful. In the last 3 years, there were many things I had to adjust to. First, the weather. Hello. I remember when I newly came here and I saw people pressing their phones outside with the cold weather and I couldn't, like just pressing my phone was really hurtful. I was mostly on gloves or my hands were in my jacket. But 3 years now, I see myself going outside even without a jacket because currently we're in the winter season. I'm able to press my phone outside, keep my hands outside. I'm just able to absorb the cold even more. Another part of adjusting was getting used to the food, which is basically bread. Oh my god, here they eat bread and cheese, bread and ham, bread and butter, bread and soup, bread and everything. Sometimes when we have gatherings and then they say something like, hey, lunch will be available. These days I have reduced my expectation because before I was expecting proper lunch, but now it's just bread. Also getting used to the culture of paying rent. Well, I won't call that a culture, but paying rent every month. Like back home, you pay rent for a year and you don't have to talk about rent until the next year, aside maintenance and other things that might come up in between. But here I pay rent every month, and even what I pay for rent every month is more than what I ever paid for a year back home. And also getting used to the bicycle culture. Back home, bicycles are things you get as a gift. It's something you just do for fun, not as a main means of transportation. But over here, bicycle is a main means of transportation. And then I also had to get used to the culture in general, like the way people can be direct, the way people are always on time. Back home we have something called African time, and if an event is by 4 p.m, if you come 5:30 p.m, you're actually early. Even 5 p.m, you're still early. Maybe from 5:30, 6 p.m, that's when you're late. But you come here and then you don't have African time, well, at least for the people I was hanging out with, and things usually started at the time it was scheduled to start. And I also had to adjust to this whole culture of making appointments. Like when I came firstly, I'll tell somebody, like, hey, you want to hang out? They tell me I'll check my calendar if I'll be free in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and I'm like, we could just hang tomorrow, I guess. You know all those spontaneous plannings you have back home if you're from Nigeria, or maybe you have a similar culture? That was something I also had to unlearn, and now I plan many things. Like who I'm going to meet in January 5th is currently on my calendar. Even February, I have a plan there. Yeah, I now do a lot with calendars. And there are many more parts of the culture I had to get used to. I'll probably make a separate video going into more of the cultural things I learned here. Then in these 3 years, there was a part where I lost my job. I came here in December 2021, and I think it was in July or August, the company I was with laid me off. And then here in the Netherlands, when you lose your job, you have 3 months to get a new job, basically getting a new sponsor, a company that can sponsor you here in the Netherlands. And if you don't get that in 3 months, you have to leave the country. So within those 3 months, I had to look for a job, go through several interviews until I found my current job. And what is so interesting is I started with my current company on the 1st of November 2022. And the 1st of November 2022 was the date that my residence permit was supposed to expire. It was crazy. Then last year, 2023, I got to visit my family. I hadn't visited since I left in 2021. This was almost like 2 years later. And I remember seeing my siblings, like 2 of them. I basically knew them when they were like this, and next thing they're here in just 2 years. That was crazy. And seeing them in person really put a lot of things in perspective for me. You know how sometimes you relocate for maybe a better career, a better life for yourself, a better life for your family, whatever your reasons may be, but sometimes you don't realize how much you are missing in the life of your friends or even in the life of your family. In these last 3 years, I also got to go outside more. Back home, I was somebody who just liked staying indoors. I didn't like visiting cities or even traveling countries or going out to do exciting things. And there were a lot of reasons for it. One of the reasons was transportation. Well, actually, one of the reasons was because my parents didn't want me going outside. They just wanted me staying home. Mom, Dad, I forgive you guys. But yeah, I just got so used to staying home. So that's one of the reasons. Another reason was also the means of transportation. For me, when I was living in Kwara State, the transportation wasn't very smooth for me. So visiting cities or, I don't know, traveling, it wasn't something I was excited about. But when I came here and saw how smooth the transportation was, I felt encouraged to go outside more. Also thanks to the friends from church who would usually try to drag me to some of these events or drag me to some of this fun stuff. In that, I got to learn or appreciate going outside more. For example, the first time I was at the beach, I made a post about this on Instagram and many people were like, "This was really your first time at the beach?" Oh yes, it was my first time and I cannot feel ashamed about it. And also in the last 3 years, I've gotten to visit different countries. Usually I'm not somebody who would just want to visit a country or visit a city. There's first the financial aspect, but again, the ease of movement. And that's something that I really found here. Like traveling to different cities, either to visit a friend or even just for exploration is just so easy. You know when the trains are arriving, when the buses are arriving, and everything just works smoothly. And then also with the Schengen visa that you have when you come to the Netherlands, it also depends on how you come. This gives you access to so many countries in Europe. Like I've been to Luxembourg, Denmark, Paris, Belgium, Czech Republic. Wow, 5 countries already. I feel like there's more. Anyways, so there's first the part of the Schengen visa, but also the part of the transportation. I now tell people I used to think I didn't like going outside, but I do. The difference was just the convenience. So what else do I want to share about these 3 years? A lot has happened. Maybe if there's anything specifically you are interested in, let me know in the comments. In general, I think I have had a good time. And then there's also the part of new culture, seeing how people do things, realizing that, oh, the way I grew up knowing things is not the only way that such things can be done. And it doesn't mean your way is better or their way is better. It's just cultural differences, even down to the food. Like I never knew there was a country that just eats bread. I know they eat other things, but they eat bread a lot. Again, I'm just making this video as a time to also reflect myself, and maybe anybody else is interested in the story, I don't know. But if there's something specific you're interested in and I haven't touched yet, yeah, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll make a video going deep into that. And let me check my list. I think this was all I wanted to cover. That's it about 3 years in the Netherlands. And hopefully I get to spend even more years here and continue to share my journey, my learnings, and my story. I think that's about the video now.